Hey guys, welcome back. As I mentioned at the end of the last video there, we're getting started on this 51 Ford, getting the floors all patched up. I'll just show you what I'm up against, what I got to fix, and my plan for going ahead on it here. It's got quite a bit of rust, quite a few places. As you can see on the driver's side, the floor pan is pretty much pooched all the way back to the seat mounts. There's a little bit at the back. The passenger side, I've got my first piece. I got some beads put in it. I got it shaped. I got the flange for the where the rocker panel hooks into it here. Towards the back, there's quite a bit more rust on the passenger side than there is on the driver's side. So what I've done is I made a pattern. Again, you got to drink beer if you want to do steel work, otherwise you got no cardboard. So this is my pattern for the piece to replace the passenger side. This is the chunk that I took out. As you can see, it's awful rusty. It would sit in the car this way. The tunnel is here. This is all mangled. All of the spot welds that went into the cross brace that bolts to the frame, they were all completely rusted out of there. So what I'm working on here now is I've got the piece clamped in on the passenger side. I'll just remove the clamps here and I can take it out and show you the structure that's underneath. Pretty happy with the fit I've got so far. Just pop the piece out, bring in and show you. Kind of a different setup they got going on here. This is our mount, the brace that goes underneath the floor. I've got it all cleaned up. I got a little bit more grinding to do on it. I'm going to treat it with some rust converter. Now, I've never seen this before, but the kick panel here, or not the kick panel, but the toe board actually comes to the underside of the brace, so I'm going to have to do a little bit of screwing around with that. I'm not quite sure if I'll do the floor first and then make a patch panel to come in on the underside. The other thing I've got is here on the side, hopefully the light's working. This is pretty rusty right in here in this area, so I'm going to make a patch panel that goes in here before the floor goes on. So I'm going to carry on, get everything ground up, put some rust converter on it. I have to go up to the city tomorrow to grab a couple of sheets of 18 gauge steel. That's my thickness of choice. And then I'm also got some weld through primer coming, so I'll be able to get everything primed before I weld it up. The rocker panel on this side's in not too bad shape. There's a little bit of rust right here, and there's kind of a prang in it here. I'm going to just do a patch on it instead of replacing the whole rocker because it's in good shape. So anyhow, we'll be back as we make a little more progress. Okay guys, so we're back again, and just like anything on these old cars, it's never as easy as you think it's going to be. Once you get into it, you find all kinds of extra rot and stuff. This piece of the kick panel here, as you can see, is just like Swiss cheese, rusted right out. So I had to make a new one of those. Comes down, ties in down to the bottom by the rocker panel. This lower part here next to the hinge, it was rusted all out. I had to make a new piece for there. And then This is one of the silliest setups I've ever seen for toe boards, but the toe board comes down and goes underneath the body support here, which creates a big trough right here for all the moisture and crap to build up in that gets underneath the rug. So pretty complicated piece to make. I've been working on it. I got it's pretty much shaped. I had to get the toe board or the kick panel piece put in first. This has the edge broke at 90 degrees so that it can be spot welded to the kick panel. It had these grooves in it, which, as you can see, are really deep. I had to come up with a way to put those in. And then here's the big patch panel. It's about 2 square feet. I put the same ridges in for strength. They're not quite as deep as the originals. I didn't feel it was really necessary, and they're really hard to get in, especially when you don't go right to the ends here. So I have this broke at 90 degrees where it comes up against the you know what I'm talking about. The kick panel on the side here. So anyhow, that was kind of a brain fart there, but next thing I've got to do is get this toe board piece fit and trimmed so that I can weld it along the top, and then it'll have spot welds along the bottom here. I'll just show you on the on my bead roller how I formed these deep flat beads in here. Took a little bit of screwing around, but what I found was I spaced the gap between the 2 lips on the bead roller dies 1/4 of an inch apart, which gave me that nice 45-degree shallow or deep bead that's in there. So don't be afraid to play around with your bead roller, adjust the dies wherever you need there, and you can make pretty much anything. So we'll get back to work on this. I'm going to get this piece of toe board all trimmed and fit, and then I'll bring you back and show you the installation of the main piece of the floor. So here we have the toe board patch tack welded in. I got it trimmed to fit. I drilled a series of holes across the lower body mount, and I rosebud welded them, or whatever blind hole welded them in, so the toe board is welded solid to the cross member there. What I'm going to do now is finish welding the whole piece in across. On the underside of this, I'll show you, I have a series of holes that I drilled so that I can button weld into the kick panel there as well. So once I get all of the welding done up down there, I will get the big piece floor patch fit in place, show you the holes I've drilled for button welding, and then I'll get that tack welded in, and we'll be almost finished the passenger. Okay, so here's the underside. You can see the spot welds come through, and then this is the toe board fastened to the kick panel with I think there's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 spot welds. So now I'm going to carry on. I'm going to finish welding the bulk of the toe board up, and then I can fit. Okay guys, so we're back again. I've got the floor patch panel tack welded in. I've got it all fit. I got a couple spots that got a little bit of a gap, but I should be able to weld it up no problem. So what I do when I plug weld these, wherever possible, I go with a 5/16 hole in the steel, the top piece. If that's not possible, On these ones, I've gone with 1/4 inch, just because of the lack of room there. And the reason being is if you go with too small a hole, when you put the torch in and start MIG welding, it'll usually fill your hole in before it gets the lower piece of steel hot enough. So what I've found is if you go with the bigger hole, start on one edge, it'll transfer the heat to the lower piece much better, and you'll get way better penetration. Once I get this all finished here, I can show you underneath. You'll see where the penetration marks are on the underside. So once I get this all tack welded in or finish welded in, cleaned up, I'll bring you back and show you the finished repair. Okay guys, so we've got the passenger side front floor is done. I've got all the spot welds in on the rocker panel here. Everything's welded, ground. I had to make a new cover here for access into the transmission. So now, next I'm going to do is I'm going to do a patch for back here. You can see the rust comes all the way up to here, down, and just back there. So it's not as big as the front. I don't think it's going to be as complicated as the front to do, but that'll be my next stage here. Then I'm going to do a rocker panel repair on the front of this rocker panel, and the passenger side will be done. So anyhow guys, thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you on the next one here. Thanks for subscribing and following along.